Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Lorelei Shimayo. This is the MeWe Metaphysics and Wellness events for energizing body, mind, heart, and soul. We have events throughout the Northwest and online, and we interview our practitioners and vendors so you get a chance to know who we are before you meet us at an event. I'm here today interviewing Mary Gleason. Mary, it's lovely to be with you.
Hi, Lorelei. Thanks for having me.
Sure, you're welcome. So what is it that you offer at our events?
At the events, I really stick mostly with psychic readings and mediumship, and I do them by reading people's energies. I often ask if they have something that I can hold, and if they don't, then I ask them to hold a crystal. I have a tray of crystals that they can pick from, and I make sure they're all saged, so I know I'm getting just their energy. Because as you can imagine, walking into a room of people who are completely open to being read, you have to make sure you're reading the right person. I also have tarot cards, and I do a lot of mediumship. People want to connect with past loved ones, or they have questions about something that they never got answered. And so I like to do a lot of that work. That's usually very rewarding.
Well, I know I have questions about your work, and I also the crystals really caught my attention. How is it that someone choosing a crystal, holding a crystal, how does that impact things for you?
So being an empath, it took me forever to figure out all of that random energy that I was picking up wasn't mine. So for years, I would run into the store for a quart of milk, and I would come out with a backache. Maybe I felt elated for no particular reason, or depressed for no reason. And I found I was taking a lot of Tylenol and ibuprofen for aches and pains that weren't mine. And I didn't know they weren't mine. So I made this agreement with Spirit. And one of them was the information for a person would come through with their permission only. And so that is what happens when I use psychometry. I know I'm getting their energy, and when I'm done, I can hand it back to them. I have another agreement with Spirit, which is I had created this energetic bubble, and the understanding is that messages can come through if they're for me, or if Spirit needs me to deliver a message, and that's happened several times. Otherwise, I rely on the psychometry, the energy from holding something, to make sure that I'm really talking to them. The first psychic fair I did, I kept saying, no, I know George has got this really strong message. I don't know anybody named George. And like 3 booths down, somebody said, oh, that's my uncle. He just passed. And I'm like, okay, I have to find a way to zoom in and make sure I'm reading for that person. So that's why.
So what happens when they're holding the crystal? It's a way of them giving permission. Then what?
Yeah, I asked them to just picture their energy flowing into it, and all of their questions being put into it. And, honestly, you don't have to think about a detailed question. You just have to say, communication with my uncle, job search, whatever it is, while I say a little prayer to invoke Spirit, and then they hand it to me, and then that's what I read from.
Wow.
And then when I'm done, I hand their object back to them, or I sage my crystal, just to make sure I've got the person sitting before me. It's for their greatest good and highest purpose only. I'm not borrowing from anybody else.
Yeah. So I hear the picking up others' energies from when you were much younger. Mediumship also, is that something that you just naturally been open to?
I was. Nobody's asked me that specific question, but I didn't know that it wasn't what other people do. And it was typically things that happened in my dreams. I would have very elaborate conversations with people in my dreams. And the reason I say I didn't know other people did this is my father did the same thing. And he was like, oh, that was so-and-so. Okay, we're good. Yeah, so-and-so came to see me last night. And so he was very open. And I was very open. And I would say I grew up in a household of sensitives who had no idea that they were sensitives.
Wow. Yeah. So in a way it's good, right? Because you're around all these other people that are sensitive. And then at the same time, you don't have any awareness that you're different.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. My mother was, she's the logic-minded one, but she's the first one to say, what does your gut tell you? Mm-hmm. So, and my father was just very open, with his visits. And my brother is a retired police detective, and he got put on cold cases because he would dream what happened and he would know what to do next.
Yeah, wow.
He would read the case file, put a little reminder under his pillow, wake up in the morning and go, oh, okay, I know what I need to do next. I know what I need to do next. And it wasn't necessarily that he solved every case with a dream, but sort of like that television show, The Medium, kind of thing. He would say, oh, they would come and chat with me and they'd say, dude, you're on the wrong path, or, you know,
right.
whatever. So,
right, combination of this plane and more.
Right, you know, or hey, that case you're looking at, yeah, the guy who did it, he's dead. He's with me now. So, I mean, I don't know if it was quite that plain, but he did have a lot of success with his mediumship skills to track down cold cases.
So this whole conversation makes me think about your book and then how you came to be in the context where this book arose from you.
Yes. So being woo-woo in an engineered world. And I say that I was aware of my skills, or, you know, at least I had these experiences early on. This book is about what happened when I stopped listening to my intuition. And I tried to fit into that technological, everything is measured, engineered world that we live in. And if you read the Myers-Briggs personality inventories, 75% of the people test as dominant 5 sensors. So they learn through their 5 senses. Only 25% of the population learns through their 6th sense predominantly. I mean, we all have access to both, but the world is designed by and for people who have that structure. And as I say in my book, you don't want to ride in a transportation system I designed, because it will look great. It probably won't function very well. And it took me a long time to realize how much I stuffed down my own intuition because it didn't make sense. It wasn't logical. Nobody would understand. And it resulted in my nervous breakdown. I mean, I had 5 stomach ulcers. I was extremely depressed. I was totally dysfunctional. And it's when I was trying to heal that I realized, you know, sitting in the silence twice a day, 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening, was part of my healing journey. And the information that flowed to me was exhausting. And I realized this has always been there. And I used to listen to it. And somewhere along the line, I stopped. And it came at a cost. I took jobs I shouldn't have taken. I hired people I shouldn't have hired. I ignored things that I would normally not have ignored. And it had a compiling effect. You know, you don't go to bed one day and wake up with 5 ulcers. No, Spirit's been trying to get your attention for a very long time. And now it's like, can you hear me now? And the answer was, yeah, I'm starting to get it. And that's when I realized, in addition to stuffing it down and ignoring it, I was ignoring half my brain. I was ignoring the dominant way that I know things or I learn. And I was ignoring spirit. And, you know, and when I say spirit, sometimes that's interchangeable with intuition, because your intuition is the only thing in your entire world that exists strictly for your greatest good and highest purpose. Wants no quid pro quo, and it's free. Why am I ignoring this? This is really dumb. And my life continued to improve and steadily continues to improve as I remember it's okay to be woo-woo in an engineered world. The world needs us both. And throughout the book, I used some of the examples are between my husband and I, who is an engineer's engineer, and still he's intuitive. You know, and I've been a department head and all kinds of high level things. I'm dominantly intuitive. However, I can also use my left brain and bring structure to things. It's being conscious about it and bringing both sides to bear. So that's a lot of what's in my book, my journey, some suggestions for people who are also on that journey. I have, after every workshop, I always have somebody who says, well, I'm starting to know things, but I can't tell anyone. And I'm like, you can't not tell anyone, because that genie is not going back in the bottle, and it has a real impact on every other area of your life. So let's work on this going forward. And, you say intuition and executives start to whisper. It's like, no, let's get real. Jeff Bezos has more analytics than anybody in the whole world. It's his intuition that says, yeah, but what do I want to do with it?
Yeah.
Right. So we're ignoring what the world's most successful CEOs know, which is you've got to bring your intuition into your decision-making process.
Yeah.
So.
Nope. That's part of what our community's for, right? Is giving people a space to be as woo as they want to be, know that it's safe and be with others.
And think about when people come to the MeWe fairs, I laugh because I will say, painting with a broad brush, they came to hear what they already know, right?
Yeah.
They already know that relationship's not going to go anywhere. They already know that that is or is not the next best job for them. They just want confirmation. And I'm happy to work with them on that, with whatever spirit will share with me. I'm happy to share with them. In my private practice, I like to work with them on how can I get you to understand your intuition, honor it, bring that to bear. How does it show up for you? How do you call on it proactively? I love when people say to me, oh, I know I'm intuitive because this one time and I was right. And it's like, wouldn't you like to be right more than once? So I try to say to them, let's bring that out. Let's review situations where you have had intuition show up for you and you've either not honored it or not recognized it. How do we call on that proactively? And how do you bring it into your decision-making process and then lead with that knowledge? So that's a lot of what I do in my coaching practice is decision-making using both sides of the brain, and I will throw in the whole body because I'm a very big proponent of the chakras.
So it sounds like people probably come to you, they're drawn by the book. They know they want to open their intuition. They come in with specific questions. Like there are all these different ways that people come to work with you.
There are a lot of times I will have somebody who's referred to me and they're whispering into the phone, because another client had referred them going, this is who you need to work with. This is who you need to work with. And there's a number of ways I like to work with executives or that next level person who maybe they just got promoted and they need that extra tool in the toolkit, and they're afraid because their decisions now have a bigger ramification than they used to. And so they're kind of nervous. So here's a great way to build your confidence and to trust more and more as you move forward. So there's a number of ways. I do have a lot of people who call me for readings, which is great. I'd love to do readings. I'm also a hypnotherapist. And so we start working on where are your blocks? How do you want to get rid of them? I don't know where your blocks are. You do. You just may or may not be aware of it. And then how do you want to understand them and then move forward in a new way? So that's a lot of what I do with decision making. I would say a lot of people find me because of the readings. And when I say, we can make this so that you don't have to call somebody else. Would you like to do that? How do we make this understanding of your life real for you too? And great. I like doing readings. I love doing readings. I make the distinction that when I read for you, you can choose whether or not to accept it. That's fine. When you learn how to read for yourself, the experience gets so real that it's very hard to ignore. And so it becomes an intrinsic learning that's probably going to have more lasting impact in your life.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, if people want to connect with you, they want to know more, where do they go?
You can always reach me at marygleasonconsulting.com.
And spell Mary Gleason for people that are watching.
Okay. Gleason. Mary
so
Gleason.
marygleason.com.
Consulting.com. And then my website is marygleasonconsulting.com. So that's the two easiest ways. I made it as easy as possible. You only need to remember my name. And you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on YouTube. I like to have a big social media presence as best I can.
Great, great.
And of course, you can find me at a number of the MeWe fairs.
Great. Well, it's been fun playing with you, and I'm looking forward to playing with you more, right? Bigger venues and more of us and larger community.
Yay. I'm so excited to be back. I miss that energy.
Well, thanks so much, Mary. And for all of you listening and watching, you can learn more about all of our events at mewefairs.com, MEWEFAIRS.com. See you soon.
Thank you.